unwritten, can't read my mind. I'm undefined, yeah.
All right, this was a sweet moment. Somebody has to say it. The singing was rough. It was really rough. I thought this episode was depressing. Like, you start off with Cody and Janelle, and they're bickering about what they're going to do with this RV. And to be honest, I don't really care. I mean, I look at it and go, I'm impressed that Janelle's pushing hard on Cody to get the RV set up and get on the property. And I get that he's annoying in how he interacts with her. But to be truthful, I think that she's probably annoying to interact with also. And I don't, from a psychological standpoint, I don't see anything particularly healthy or unhealthy in that interaction. You just have a wife that's pushing hard and a husband that's reluctant. It doesn't seem that abnormal. So I thought that was sort of boring and uninteresting. And then the discussion moved to Meri, and I thought it was so sad and depressing. I thought that Cody, I don't know what to say. You have Meri, who has lost her mother, whatever it was, 4 weeks prior to the filming of this, and she's clearly still in the grief process. And I feel like Meri has always seemed to me to be very isolated, very alone, the most disconnected of the wives. Like, she's not connected to Cody. She doesn't feel super connected to any of the other sister wives. And she's just globally seems unhappy, right? I mean, she was so unhappy that she went and pursued affection or a relationship outside of the family, and that's how the whole catfish thing happened. I just feel bad for her. And now she loses her mother. And then shortly thereafter, Cody says, hey, why don't you go and live at the bed and breakfast you're worried about losing? Essentially telling her, hey, I don't need you around here anymore. Go. You can go do whatever you want to do. Go run that business away from our family. He's already lost Christine, and now he's willing to essentially, what feels to me like, sacrifice Meri. And she's feeling like, no one here cares about me. I will say, I do think one of the things I've noticed in watching these shows is that the wives are frequently frustrated with Cody. And my assumption is that they frequently turn to each other and talk about how frustrated they are. But I don't know how often they actually turn to Cody and go, the fuck are you talking about? There's not a quick feedback loop for him. So he can be arrogant, narcissistic, he can be a jerk, and he doesn't get consequenced for it immediately. Instead, he has to wait. My assumption is he's waiting until Robyn or the crew at TLC says, hey, how do you think that landed with Meri? And then he goes, oh, I didn't mean it that way. Moving on. But it's like, because they don't communicate, they are exacerbating his sort of egocentric approach to all of these interactions. And then the most provocative part of the episode was the going away party for Isabel. Isabel's going off to college, so the whole family gets together, and you see the sister wives all interacting in a more healthy manner. The kids are around, Cody's there, and it feels like, oh my gosh, this could be a healthy family. And then independently, all of the sister wives, except for Christine, are going to TLC and being interviewed, and they're saying, hey, I'm hoping that she remembers what we have here, that this is worth fighting for, and that she wants to stay. And my thought was, I guess I have a lot of thoughts. So let's start with Cody. You have Cody, who is saying that he is vacillating on the kind of the emotional continuum from being okay with the divorce to being angry with the divorce to feeling regret to being sad.
I mean, here I'm in a funk. It's a kind of a loneliness combined with a bitterness. I'm living in a delusional world where I'm wishing that Christine wouldn't leave. I'm struggling with sort of a state of regret and frustration.
Back in the late 1960s, there was a psychiatrist named Elizabeth Kubler-Ross who talked about the stages of grief. So there's denial, then there's anger, then there's depression, then there's bargaining, and then finally there's acceptance. And the idea is that you have to move through these stages whenever something horrible happens to you. Since the 1960s, the way that we think about that has shifted a little bit, but in that we don't think about it as a linear path. Like what Cody's experiencing is you go from being okay with something to being mad to being sad to thinking it's not really going to happen, right? You bounce around. Like grief is not linear. But Cody's reaction, I think, is normal. And to me, the comment where he says, I feel a lot of regret, I think is valuable because it does show that he recognizes that at some level he has some responsibility. And in this very same episode, I would argue that the way he treated Meri was abhorrent. I can't imagine a worse way to treat a wife that is in a period of grief. So I don't know, I don't know what to say. The guy is a mess. He struggles. I feel like every time I come on here, I'm just bagging on Kody, but he just has a lack of self-awareness. I think he wants the family to work, but he just can't make that happen because he's so self-interested. And as it relates to the sister wives, all 4 of them, Christine included, I think they're responsible for the destruction of their relationships. You have to focus on building a stronger connection with your family, or those connections will fall apart. And I think in the case of these 4 women, they've been focusing on their kids, they've been focusing on themselves, all for good reason, but they've ignored each other. And so now you're a decade into this sort of friction, and it's too late. So I don't know, I thought it was kind of a depressing episode. It's like you got a glimpse at what this family could have been, but the reality is it's not that, it's never going to be that, and in my opinion, it's way too late.